Going live now.
Okay. And I also have 2 o'clock, so let's go ahead and go live.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, hold on 1 second, sir. I think are we on the call?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, January the 19th strategic planning. I'll now call this meeting to order. The first item that we have on our agenda for this afternoon is a quarterly performance update by Mr. Moreland. Councilwoman Burrs, do you want to take this since this has to do with our budget and finance, or no?
Sure, that's fine. Actually, for just a minute, this is part of my assignment, is that you get these updates. Mr. Moreland has done a great job. You've all received copies of what he's going to present, but let me turn it over to Tim and he'll share it with his screen, I'm sure.
Okay, Nicole, if you'd bring in Mr. Moreland, please. Richard Beelan.
Yes, my screen moved. Hold on just a moment.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, Tim, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I sent to you all a lot of information. It was a lot to handle, so I apologize for that. And what you got in your packet was a couple of different things. One is the mid-year performance data at the departmental level, so that you can see every single department, what their measure is, what their target is for the year, where they're at currently, and then an arrow kind of saying which way they're trending. So that's for the departmental piece. And then at the bottom of that report also has the agency's performance as well. And then there's 2 different PDFs for that. One kind of is the numbers, just like the departmental one, and then a comments and notes as well, because there's, yeah, if you wanted to kind of read the narrative associated with their performance as well, that's also there. So that's what we provided. I can go over, I can dive into, you know, agency or department if you want, but I think it might be more fruitful to, you know, open up to questions, kind of hear what folks would like to talk more about, anything that was confusing or concerning, and then we can kind of talk about those and address those.
I don't see any hand right now. So what might be really interesting, Tim, is the agency aspect of it.
Yes.
We get a lot of questions about that. Would you want to go over that, please?
Sure. So let me just show you the two different forms you'll have. One is the agency results. Hopefully folks can see this. I'll make it a little bit bigger there, right? So what this has is we grouped each agency together. You can see the total funding at the top. So in this case, the AIM Center, 63,700. And then how many offers they put in. In this case, they had 1 BFO offer and they had 5 measures associated with it. So that's what these top line numbers are. And then we summarize kind of how things are going with them, where you can see what were their year-end targets, which is this kind of column right here. It says number of targets at end of the year target values, number of measures and end of year target values. So that's what's listed here. And then actual is here. So you can see like they're hoping to have 400 number of contacts with potential employers or employees. They're trying to have 700 by year end. They're at 422. So that means they can keep at this pace. Usually that's what we did when we did our on track or not. If they can keep at this pace, will they meet their target? And so that was the yes there. So that's kind of how it's laid out. Sometimes there's things going on. So for example, I think there's like you kind of, once you dive into the narrative, you'll see some more things. Like I think there was some Girls Inc. Offers that related to had measures relating to working with our YFD centers, but since our YFD centers are closed, they're not able to work on those measures, and so they have a comment about that, kind of explaining what's going on there. There should be, I think we're continuing to see the impacts of COVID. A lot of the offers are, especially the ones that include that had more of a public component of it. They've all done a pretty good job of trying to shift to digital, but it's a different way of measuring, and also it's just challenging to get those same numbers digitally, get the digital engagement that they saw when they could do in person. So do you want me to just kind of scroll through all of these, or are there specific agencies folks would like to focus on?
What's the pleasure of the council? Does anyone have any specific questions? Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm not sure if Mr. Moreland is the one that would be able to answer this. The agencies that we funded a couple of weeks ago with extra funds, do we know if those checks have gone out yet, if they've received their money? Could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, council member, I do not know. That might be something that either Daisy or Maura, who are probably listening on, could answer for us.
Okay. I see Daisy with her hand up, but I'll tell you, we can follow up with that, Councilwoman Vers, once we get through with the quarterly report then.
All right. Are there any other questions for from council? I've got one, Tim.
Please.
So one of the things that comes up every year is we see how many people are served, et cetera. Do we know what the impact is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's the correct word. It's the one council has used a lot.
Yeah, I know that's something we've talked about a lot. Typically, I think there couple of nuances or differences is that sometimes, depending on who you ask, you'll get a different definition of what impact is. Like some people think that, So I think that is one kind of gray area that we struggle with. But I would say most of a lot of the measures are usually either outcome or output measures associated with them.
Right.
What we find with the impact measures is they usually take a more in-depth, purposeful analysis and more longitudinal analysis, and we've talked about that before, of kind of tracking cohorts over multiple years. And unfortunately, I would love to do deeper impact on all of these agencies. We just don't have the funds to do that level of evaluation, that impact evaluation that's really important for all the organizations, for all the agencies.
Yeah, I think one of the things that council's been concerned about is these are great numbers, but did it make a difference? I think that's what they're talking about with impact.
Yeah.
Councilman Gilbert.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Moreland, do you have any information based off how did COVID-19 affect your measurements for this year, 2020?
No, I don't know at a high level. I know at the high level for the departmentals, we're up a few percentages on our achievement of performance measures. So it hasn't seen as big of an impact there, which is surprising to me. But from the agency levels, I don't think we've done a kind of what you're calling kind of like all the agencies analysis compared this year to the same time last year. That's a really good question, and I don't know. What we could do is do a follow-up just to see what percentage of all measures are on track for this mid-year versus last mid-years, and see if there's a difference between those two.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Will do.
Are there any other questions before we turn to Chair Henderson's question for Mara. Tim, thank you so much. This is a lot of hard work. And at some point, I guess I'd like to talk again about how we look at impact, or did it make a difference?
Yeah, I think there's a really interesting discussion there about, what is the best way to set up a program for measuring impact, because it has to happen very kind of purposefully at the beginning, and you have to start with your data collection and have that really well thought out, and have your evaluation out through the whole thing. And so it might even be an interesting conversation about how we put that funding into the actual offers themselves, so that we have the ability to do that deep level of analysis. It's a very, I'm excited about having that conversation as well.
Good, thank you. Councilman Ledford.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to reinforce that point that you made and let you know that I echo that sentiment, because as we put forth the funding, we had talked about, when we were still able to meet in person, we had talked about, just the number of how many people had been served, but what was the overall beneficial change or the impact to the community that was being made. And I agree with you 100%. I'd like to dive deeper into trying to figure out the impact we're having. I think that will help us figure out if we're going in the right direction with some of this. And I think that's a really important aspect of the funding mechanism. Thank you.
Are there any other questions, concerns, issues? So this falls in my wheelhouse. So anything that you want to bring forward that Tim and I can meet offline and talk about and get you better results, just please let me know. Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it. And if you think of anything else later on, please just reach out to us, let us know. The only follow-up I'm hearing currently is, well, two, one on the funding piece, and then also the second one, kind of the high level analysis of agencies this year to next year.
Thank you. Chair Henderson, do you want that answer for Mara? Is Mara there?
Daisy has her hand up. Let's bring
Right.
her in.
Yeah, whoever.
Hello? Okay, you there?
Yeah, hey, Daisy.
Hi. I was just emailing more of the answers. All of the monies have been paid to those agencies that were part of that amendment. The only one, except the Forgotten Child Fund, and we are waiting on the final documentations, because we do not pay until they have totally complied with all of the documentation requirements, and they are well aware of that. And the Southeast Tennessee Development District, we're really just waiting on them to actually, they, along with Jermaine, are working on the process for billing that, or paying that as well.
Okay, any other questions? Chair Henderson, anything?
Yeah, sure. I wasn't exactly sure. I understand about the Forgotten Child Fund. I know they have to request funding and what it's for. I didn't understand about the Southeast
Tennessee,
Development. Has that money been issued, or I wasn't understanding your explanation.
it has not been issued.
Okay.
Jermaine is working with the management of the Southeast Tennessee Development to determine exactly how they want it distributed.
Okay, that's interesting. So I thought it was my understanding that this was going to help small businesses. Is that correct?
They are apparently working out the details of that. I mean, I can't address that one. I know is the accounting finance staff has been working on getting that paid. And as soon as Southeast Tennessee and the city administration agree on how they want it done. And I think it's mainly Southeast Tennessee. They just, they bill us. It's a process whereby, even though it's appropriated, they will send us a request for payment. And we're still waiting for that. But we are in conversations with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Ledford?
I just want to reiterate the follow-up on that. I mean, this was before Christmas. This was requested under heavy time frame restrictions, and then we went through an entire Christmas holiday, and then this council met emergency the next day to get these funds that we were told desperately needed, and they are desperately needed. So please follow up with us as soon as possible, Miss Daisy. That'd
We
be
will.
great.
That's actually, if you like, as soon as we write the check, we'll send you guys a notice.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else from council? Thank you very much. I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Well, Councilwoman, the next item under other business falls under you as well.
Okay.
The CPD request for the Exxon contract. Why don't you just go ahead and
All right.
handle that?
I got notice from Mara that CBD has requested that the $2,477.60 relative to information, body cam information, etc., that goes to the police oversight board be charged to our budget. I can't do that without approval from you all, so that's why it's on the agenda. What's your pleasure?
Councilwoman, let's go ahead and put that on the agenda for next week.
Well, do you want to put it on the agenda or just approve it or not? It's a budget approval.
I'm a little confused. I thought it would need to go on as a resolution for a contract approval.
No, it's just well, there is the contract. They've asked that it come out of our budget, the check. I can't unilaterally give permission. You know, sometimes y'all give me carte blanche to do stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See what I'm saying? So I can't just say, sure, write the check. This is a formality unless you don't want it in our budget. You're giving me permission to say yes or no.
Well, then let's ask it this way. Is there any objection to putting it in our budget from the council?
No objection.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's your answer.
Mm.
Okay, you good with that?
Yeah, great.
Okay. All right, moving on now to pending legislative matters. We do have our short-term vacation rental amendments that we've been talking about. Councilman Oglesby, any update? You are on mute, sir.
Yeah, Phil and I are gonna get together to present a resolutions to move forward with that. So I'll make it a goal to have it next week for council to review.
Okay, and I'm going to assume that you'll be able to get that emailed out to everyone prior to our meeting next week.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Moving down to board appointments, you see here all the different boards that do need appointments to. I see one that has shown up that I haven't seen before, Health, Education, and Housing Facility. Councilman Ledford, I believe you may have an appointment for that one.
Yes, sir. I'm very excited to present to you in email form this afternoon. Dr. John Scherer of District 4 has volunteered and agreed to serve on this board if the council will have him. And I think it would be an excellent choice. His resume is attached. It might take you a few minutes to read through it, as it is very accomplished, and I think it would serve our city extremely well. And if it's no objection from the council, I would like to ask permission to put this on next week's agenda in other business.
All right, I'm hearing no objection. Mr. Attorney, I believe this is one where the council district representative makes the nomination, but it is an entire council vote. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Will be a whole vote of the council. And I believe he sent out the resume in connection with that on there, but it would be the same as was done last week by Councilwoman Coonrod.
Okay. Clerk, Madam Clerk, would you make sure that this gets on other business next week?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Council, is that all, Councilman Ledford?
Thank you very much. Appreciate the support.
Councilman Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at Industrial Development Board and 2 eligible reappointments. That would get us, if those 2 eligible reappointments happen, that would get us to 7. At one time, we had a conversation about going to 9, and I just wanted to ask the attorney, where were we in that process?
Maria in my office has prepared a charter amendment to submit with the state. The state will have to approve that charter amendment for us to go, but that can be done here within the next two weeks.
So within a month, let's say,
Sure.
we'll be looking at 9 appointments instead of 7.
Yes, sir. And I guess the other question we have, while we're doing that, you want to go to 9 on the Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board as well.
Mr. Attorney, that is listed by districts anyway, or are you telling me?
I'm saying we have 7
none?
members in both the IDB and the HEB, Health, Education,
Okay.
Facilities Board, and the Industrial Development Board. Do you want to go to a number for both? Because we'll have to do that charter amendment with the Secretary of
With
State at
both.
the same time.
Council, what would you like to do? 9 members on both?
I like 9 members on both.
Or-
Yeah, I do too, Chair.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Attorney, let's go ahead and file for charter amendment on both boards then.
we'll do that, and I'll report back to you whenever that's completed so you can make your appointments.
Okay. Very
Thank you,
good.
Mr. Chair.
Sure. Any other questions about any of the board appointments or the HEB board or the IDB board? Okay. Very well. Moving down to F, we do have a proclamation. Councilman Oglesby?
Well, actually, I just wanted to, this is FYI. We have been talking about LDO coming before us, answering questions regarding enforcements and compliance. And 2 things. We can, I can schedule to have those questions addressed, not next week, but at our February 2nd strategic planning meeting versus having it in committee. And 2 is, if there's, because in our conversation, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this and a lot of information that can be shared and answered. So if the council would give me specific questions that they would like answered in advance, so when we have that meeting, they'll be able to do it in a manner that, you know, we can get this thing wrapped up.
Okay. All right.
So we can tentatively schedule it for strategic planning February the 2nd, but I would love for council to get me the questions to make sure that they're answered appropriately.
Okay. That should fit well with Councilman Ledford bringing our legislation forward with steep slopes. All right, very well. Madam Clerk, would you schedule that for our February the 2nd strategic
I'll
planning?
schedule it. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Council.
All right, thank you. We do have a proclamation scheduled for our February the 2nd meeting, Black History Month. Councilman Gilbert is going to read the proclamation on that. Anything to add, Councilman Gilbert, on that?
No, we just try to recognize individuals that's done a lot for the city of Chattanooga. But other than that, that's about it.
Okay. All right, very well. Thank you. You see before you on our next couple of items, our council agenda for today, as well as next week on our 2-week agenda. If you would pull up your 2-week agenda, and there is an item under, let's see, let me find it. Under the mayor's office, the resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Brian Johnson and Minnie Chartipi, I think is how you say that. We are going to place that on the agenda in February. So we're going to remove that item. I just want to give the council a heads up that we'll be removing that item to a later date in February. Any questions, concerns on that? Okay, very well. Anything else that you'd like to bring up at this time concerning our council agenda for this evening or for next week? I would draw your attention to our committees for the 26th. We have added one, economic and community development. Councilman Oglesby, I think you were aware, correct, sir, of the need for reallocation of the affordable housing funds that we need to discuss.
Yeah, I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I am.
And we have added that for next week's committee meeting. So now we have a total of 4 next week.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you asked about today's meeting, and for planning, the item that I deferred last week, they want it removed from the agenda. They're withdrawing. Do you want that tonight, or do you want to just take it off now?
I think, Mr. Attorney, that needs to be done in a voting meeting.
Yes, it does, because it's been noticed for that to occur, yes.
Fine, I'll do it tonight then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We'll just need a motion to withdraw.
All right, and the second thing I have is for next week. I've noticed that we scheduled from 1 to 3:30 for our discussion of what needs to be in the budget or considered in the budget for next year. One of the things that I think is important to mention is that it's very important that it all be in writing, simply because much of it will be attached to the budget for the next administration or the next council to consider. So Nicole has done a good job of sending everything out. Does anyone have any questions about that it needs to be in writing and back to Nicole by Friday so that she can do a share screen and that it'll be of record next week? So I can assume you still want to go with as much time, because we've given it an awful lot of time. And if everybody isn't comfortable with putting all of that in writing, etc., then I don't want to take up your precious time with it. So do you want to call on people, Mr. Chair?
Well, I've got some hands up, but I'm not sure if that has to do with your question.
Okay.
I guess one of my my question would be, if we're going to submit this in writing and you're going to put it up on a shared screen, then it's basically going to be available to us all on one screen. That's what I'm understanding. We're not going to go around the room and discuss the importance of our item to the budget or whatever.
Well, yeah, what's going to happen is we're pretty much going to follow the format of making everything public and having written documentation the same way, because a number of you were concerned with the public meeting report.
That's correct.
So what it would be is we would start with District 1, much like the template says, and you would say, and I forget what the finding was for your district, but you might say, if it's economic development, yes, that's important. However, the main issues in my district are, and then that would be a record that administration got noticed. It's also a record of the people who, because of the switch in administrations, we'll have all that too. So I'm not sure that it's good if we give everybody 10 minutes. It's not an administration badgering thing. It's a discussion among ourselves for public record. So I'm thinking that if we give everybody 10 minutes, it's still not going to take all the time that we scheduled. And I'll do whatever you want. I just want to do a little bit of a reality check here.
Well, my suggestion would just be, we will leave it as it is. And if once we're through, we'll just have a break. We'll just have a break between that and our agenda session.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Gilbert?
Mine's another question on another subject. So on planning.
Yeah.
And this might be for Phil. Phil, I
Yes.
want to put a condition on planning on first reading 6A.
Yes, sir.
One of the conditions would be a maximum of 21 housing units, and 2, provide a 10-foot wide street yard where lot 1 abutted the south access road right of way. The street yard will be planted with street trees as prescribed by the Chattanooga Landscape Ordinance.
All right, sir. I saw something from Mr. Bridger earlier. Are those the conditions?
That's it.
Okay, I'll get that at least to a version so you can at least move to amend this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You good, Councilman?
Yes.
All right, Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This goes back to the previous question. Our answers are due on Friday, Madam Chair. Is that end of day?
Yes, that's so Nicole has the ability to get all the slides ready.
Okay, because that I'm using social media platform in the district and also on the phone with a lot of my neighborhood association presidents who are reaching out within their neighborhoods respectively, and it's interesting because a lot of phone calls came ringing in after that meeting last week. So thank you.
Okay.
You good, Councilman?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that, Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
any attorney-client privilege meeting needed today?
I don't believe so today.
Good. You've kept us out of trouble for at least a week.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I believe we're in good shape for just the time being.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council during our strategic planning time? If not, we will take a break until our 3:30 agenda session.
All right. Want to make a break for the house?
I'm not seeing any hands. So at this time, we will take a break and we will see everybody back at 3:30.
All right.
All right.